Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to take a journey, an incredible journey, really, and visualize what happens inside the brain as it moves through addiction and then into recovery. We're going to look at this not as a moral issue, but as a biological one. We throw around words like willpower all the time, right? But what if we could actually see the changes? It's a fascinating story, not of being strong or weak, but of our brain's fundamental chemistry being rewired. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a picture of a healthy, balanced brain. Then, we'll see how that system gets totally hijacked. We'll dive into the nitty-gritty of cravings, and then, and this is the hopeful part, we'll explore how the brain can actually heal and rewire itself. So, let's set our baseline. Before anything else, our brains operate in this really beautiful, carefully calibrated state of equilibrium. This is our normal. The key concept here is something called homeostasis. But honestly, just think of it like the thermostat in your house. Your brain is constantly making these tiny adjustments to your chemistry, to its own activity, just to keep everything running perfectly. It's this amazing dynamic equilibrium. And that thermostat, it works by managing these chemical messengers. Think of them as a little team inside your head. You've got dopamine, which is your go-get-it molecule. Serotonin is your mood stabilizer, keeping things feeling good. And then you have glutamate and GABA, which are basically the brain's gas pedal and brake. It's this incredibly delicate chemical dance happening every single second. Okay, so we have this beautiful, balanced system. Now let's see what happens when it gets hijacked, because this is where the story of addiction really kicks into gear. So our reward system is this brilliant evolutionary tool. Our brain gives us a little hit of dopamine when we do things that are essential for survival, like eating. It's like getting a little gold star that says, "Hey, that was good, do that again." And this graph, this gets to the absolute core of the problem. Just look at the scale of the difference here. See the little natural bumps in dopamine from something like food? Now look at that third bar. That's a drug. It's not a bump, it is a tidal wave, a massive unnatural surge that the brain was never, ever designed to handle. So what does the brain do when it's being flooded like that? Well, it panics. It goes into full-on defensive mode. It's a process called downregulation. To protect itself, it starts reducing the number of dopamine receptors, kind of like a store pulling down its metal gates during a riot. It's turning down the volume on its ability to feel pleasure, and not just from the drug, but from everything. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. That massive dopamine signal essentially tricks the brain's survival circuits. Our most basic instincts get re-engineered, and the brain starts to believe that the substance is now the single most important thing for survival. And this whole process creates a new, unstable normal. The brain isn't in balance anymore. It's in a state that's defined by tolerance, by withdrawal, and by these intense, relentless cravings. This comparison really highlights the difference. On the left, a balanced brain can find pleasure in everyday life. But on the right, with its pleasure receptors downregulated, the brain struggles to feel good from anything. That state is called anhedonia. Now, it's driven almost entirely by seeking the one thing that still works. And this leads directly to tolerance. Because the system is so much less sensitive, the original amount just doesn't cut it anymore. A person now needs more and more of the substance just to get back to a baseline feeling of normal. Forget about feeling high. And here's the crucial twist. While the dopamine system is turning down, glutamate, remember the brain's accelerator, is slammed to the floor. It creates these super powerful, deeply ingrained memories that link the drug to reward. This is what fuels cravings. They aren't just feelings, they're powerful learned memory circuits firing off. Okay, I know that all sounds pretty bleak, and this is a huge but, the story doesn't end there. The brain is not stuck this way forever. It has this incredible innate capacity to heal and change itself. It's called neuroplasticity. Recovery is literally the process of rebuilding the brain's chemical architecture. It starts with stopping the flood so the brain can begin the slow work of what's called upregulation, bringing those dopamine receptors back online. Then, through new habits and new experiences, the brain actively rewires itself, relearning how to find joy in natural rewards again. This timeline is so important because it shows that healing is not a quick fix. Those first few months are tough. That's when the brain's chemistry is really starting to rebalance. But as we move into that 6 to 18 month mark and beyond, that real structural change, that neuroplastic rewiring, begins to take hold and strengthen over a lifetime.
And all of this leads to the ultimate goal of recovery, which isn't about going back to how things were. It's about building a new, more resilient state of being. The brain doesn't just rewind the tape. Through all the hard work of recovery, it moves forward. It creates a new kind of balance, and honestly, it's often a stronger and more self-aware equilibrium than ever before.
So the key takeaway from this whole journey is a fundamental shift in perspective. Addiction isn't a character flaw. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a chronic disease of the brain's reward, memory, and motivation circuits. And recovery is the real, tangible, biological process of healing and strengthening those circuits. And that leaves us with this one critical question. If we truly accept the science, how does that change everything about how we treat people? It challenges us to move from judgment to compassion and to build systems that support this profound, long-term healing journey of the brain.